crypto. We're all here to make millions and millions of dollars, and if possible, without doing too much work. However, on the road to shit ton of money, we make a lot of mistakes and most of them are very stupid. That's why in this video, I want to share with you the 10 most stupid mistakes that I have also done myself and few principles that I use to try to avoid them. And by the way, the last one really cost me millions of dollars, and I wish somebody told me this earlier and I wish I wasn't that stupid. But hey, that's why we're making this video. If you're watching this, you've probably done already some of these mistakes and it probably will be very hard for you to avoid doing all of them. So I expect from you to also do some of them in the future. And that's why it's very important to bookmark this video and go back to it once you find yourself in a stupid situation. Just watch it again, try the solutions that I'm going to suggest for you, and know that you are not alone. We have all been down this road, but the most important part is not to do those mistakes more than once or twice, because then you're really stupid and you're probably not going to become a millionaire. Let's jump right into it because this is probably gonna be a longer video, like pretty much all my videos. If you're anything like me, you're probably following a lot of people in the crypto industry and you see what their thoughts, what their predictions and so on. However, this doesn't mean that you should follow the advice of anyone on the internet, including myself. And if we just have a quick look at my homepage on YouTube, you'll see right away one of the videos that I'm getting recommended here is by MoneyZG and Crypto Prepare Now for a Capitulation. So even without watching this video, I know that this is a prediction. Somebody on the internet saying that, yes, we're going to capitulate or we're going to go to 14,000 or 10,000 or whatever his target will be. Here also, another one, catalyst for a crypto bull run. On the other side, this one, what we need to get into a bull run. And I'm pretty sure you already know some of these channels. Like, for example, Alex Becker is really good at predictions and really good at telling you I told you so. Another random guy on the internet that you shouldn't be following 100%. Cryptocurrencies University has also a similar channel where they do a lot of technical analysis, and actually I like the technical analysis part, but when they get into the predictions and this will happen or that will happen in that many days, you know you're in trouble if you try to follow somebody who uploaded a free video on the internet and you're taking this advice as a financial advice, although obviously all of us say that this is not financial advice. Let me tell you a little secret here. We are not doing this because we really know what's going to happen. We are all doing it because of you. People are mostly interested in easy gains and are mostly interested in somebody telling them fast and easy what they should be doing. And that's why the algorithm is pushing this kind of content, and that's why we all have to make these videos, because we still want to get to a good audience. But the way to avoid the mistake of following someone into a trade and then being sorry about this trade or being in a loss because you don't know how to manage the trade, or there's so many other different nuances into crypto investing that we're not gonna get into this video right now. But the most important thing that you need to do is form your own opinion. And the only way you can do this is by investing a lot in your own personal education. And that might not happen only by watching several videos on the internet. I know this because I've done this for the first year or so of my crypto journey. And I was watching all those guys on YouTube doing technical analysis and talking about crypto and Bitcoin and whatever. And I was interested in their predictions. And since I had some trust in them, I was ready to buy just because they were saying so, which was absolutely a huge mistake. And the moment that I started growing my knowledge base for crypto, then I was able to formulate my own opinions and see where these people are different from my personal opinion and what is my risk tolerance and all the other things that you need to consider before entering a trade. So make sure you really start investing in your education early. And actually one of the best free resources that I personally know is this guy, Cryptocurrencies here. He has a beautiful, absolutely free course on technical analysis and executing trades and risk management and so on. I think it's definitely a good starting point, and I would even say if you want to get into crypto, after Googling what is Bitcoin and what is the blockchain, this is the next course that you need to watch if you're really serious about crypto. Another very typical mistake that people do is to FOMO in different trades, no matter what it is, if it's Bitcoin or an altcoin or whatever. But when you see something like this, for example, when you see several green days in a row and you see more and more people talking about Bitcoin, you see it making the headlines on CNBC and Bloomberg and so on, and you're starting to feel these feelings like, oh my God, I need to buy Bitcoin. Everyone's into Bitcoin and I'm missing the boat. And that's why you end up buying somewhere here at the top. What you need to be doing instead, obviously, is first of all, don't let news and other people form your own opinion. But also, when you see a chart that goes parabolic or that there's a lot of green on the chart, remember one simple rule. Nothing goes straight and only straight up. And that's also valid actually for the downside, but you'll never see a chart that goes only like this. What usually happens is after a move like this, you have a correction, then potentially you have another leg to the upside, then another correction, and so on. So this is called a trending market. And even if you have missed a boat and you haven't bought somewhere around here, always wait for the retracement. And that is only if you really want this project or if you really want to buy, let's say, Bitcoin in this case. However, when it comes to altcoins, there's another rule that I try to follow, and that is there's always another trade. And let me give you an example with Filecoin. I was investing this early on and it went really parabolic. Like this was one of the biggest winners from the previous cycle for me. So right around here, I started buying Filecoin, and then you see it going parabolic like this. And I was quite happy with this trade. But while this was happening, there were so many other projects that were popping off, and I was holding myself not to buy some of them. In the past, I have done this and I have bought the top, for example, of a project called Dash. This was quite a long way back here, but still I bought the top here because I was FOMOing in and I had to hold this trade and see it go down like 80% before I decided to capitulate. And that was because I was not following the simple rule that there is always another trade, and whenever I see something going up and up and up and up, I shouldn't be buying it. Simple as that. There's so many tokens, there's so much opportunity, and if you put just a little bit of your time into researching and knowing what the crypto market is all about, you'll be avoiding this mistake. A lot of people buy more crypto than actually they're ready to lose. I haven't fallen victim into this one. However, I know that a lot of people out there have done this, even people that I know. That's why I really wanted to stress this out. For example, if you have loans, or if you don't have savings, if you don't know what an emergency fund is, and especially if you haven't paid off even your credit card, you shouldn't be investing into crypto. Don't try play it smart and be in for the quick gains on crypto. You will get burnt. Take care of your personal finance first, and I guarantee you there will be opportunities on the markets after you've done this, and you'll still be able to make a lot of money. The next mistake is a big one for me because I've done this several times, and I hope I have learned my lesson, at least from my last trades in the past 6 to 8 months. I think I'm getting better and better at this. However, before that, during the last bull run, I made quite a lot of stupid mistakes when it comes to managing my trades, and I actually have separate videos for this on the channel. I'm gonna link them in the description. But just an example is 1inch, where I was buying a potential breakout here on the all-time high. However, this was pretty much the top of the market, and I kept buying into this position, and actually I made it quite a big size even compared to my own risk tolerance. And while I decreased it a little bit here, I still had a big back of 1inch for quite a long time, and I was also averaging down on it, which again was a terrible idea, especially when there were no clear levels in sight. And even the worst thing that I did, we had this spike and I didn't sell at a break even, or actually I was even in a small profit here. So these were all mistakes related to poor trade management. And if you don't have experience and if you don't have discipline especially, these mistakes are very easy to make, especially in a bull market, because you're flying in the clouds, you're making easy money, And when the trend starts shifting, you're really prompt to doing stupid trades like this one. And even if this worked out, I still think my entries were not that great. So I think it's really important to have good trade management, to know what that is, to keep your risk levels low, to avoid entering way above a breakout point, for example, and all those things that if you actually decide to learn technical analysis, it will be easy to learn, but then it will be difficult to implement. And that is why it's very, very important to just practice, even with smaller amounts in the beginning, and just execute trades and make sure you keep your rules and evaluate your ideas for taking this trade and also for exiting. The next mistake is also related to good trade management, but on its own, I think it's very, very important and actually quite stupid if you're not doing this. And I can give you a perfect example of not taking enough profits with Solana. I was riding Solana from way down here. I was buying it at around $5 and I was able to capitalize on the entire trend. So at some point, my portfolio of Solana was up around 3,000%. And while I was taking profits along the way, I was never taking enough profits in my opinion, and actually I rolled a big chunk of my position also to the downside, and I still hold some, which, to be honest, looking back at it, I think this is definitely a mistake and I should have taken more profit more aggressively. Even if I wasn't able to pick the top, there were more than one reasons, especially in this area when the trend was accelerating, to take more profit and even to quit my entire positions. And then obviously there were other possibilities to re-enter either here on Solana or on other projects. But since I was making easy money in this bull market, I was falling victim into this that, oh, it will go up forever and I will still be making a lot more money. And I was calculating in my head my profit targets if Solana gets to $1,000. And this is actually one of the advice that I have. Every time you start thinking about this and every time you start becoming more obsessed with your position and how much money you would be making and what you'll be buying with this money, it's time to take heavy profits. And don't be afraid actually to close your entire position, because as I mentioned in one of the previous points, there's always another trade on the horizon. The same thing, by the way, could happen to you in a bear trend. And let's just take Solana here again as an example. And let's say you want to take this trade either on the short side or on the long side. Let's say you bought this support level here after the capitulation of Solana and you made a good call. However, you see your profit going up like 20%, maybe even 30%. And you might be like, hey, this is just 30% on a relatively small position because I'm managing in the bear market and I'm not really going heavy on this specific position. So 30% is not that much of a profit, and I'm gonna wait for it to go to, let's say, 50 or 100% or something more reasonable that I'm used to. Forget about this. Profit is always profit, and ask yourself a very simple question. If you had $1 million to invest, or maybe 100 million if this is a big amount for you, if you put $1 million on this trade, would you be executing it like this? And the answer should always be yes, because it doesn't matter if you invest like $100 or $10,000 or $10 million, your execution should follow a plan and your discipline should follow this plan. If you don't do this, especially with trade mismanagement and with taking profits, you're pretty much gambling your money away, and long term this will affect seriously your P&L and you'll be making a lot less money than what if you're sticking to your system and taking your profit targets here, even if it's 30 or 40%, because the conditions here are different. You might be used to make like 100x or 10x or just 100% on a single trade. However, this is the bear market and the conditions are very different. And that's why you need to evaluate every trade separately and every profit target separately and stick to it. In the past, I also used to be really keen on getting married to different tokens, which is, I know, extremely weird, but trust me, when you get into crypto and when you start doing some research, and especially if you're new to research, and you might see all those beautiful slogans or all those beautiful things that people believe will happen with this project, and especially if you're in their Discord and the community is hyped and so on, and you might think that, yeah, this project is in a downturn, However, I think it will recover, it will have a bright future. And a perfect example for this was Alice, where I was buying a small bag of it somewhere around here. And as you can see, my purchase prices were not great. So a couple of mistakes here. One obviously was that my entries were not great. So trade mismanagement, I didn't cut it on time. But the main reason was because I was getting married to this project and to the fact that this game has a lot of potential on paper. However, they have failed to launch it already for several years, and especially now in the bear market, it's not performing very well. So basically I was stuck with the back just because I was believing in a thesis that it might play out, but this doesn't mean that it should be affecting my management of this specific trade. And especially if you put a little bit of work into it, or if you follow an influencer that you really trust with his opinion, you're more than willing to stick with this back. And especially if you're in a community, for example, and they give you trade signals or investment signals and you follow them blindly, again, you might be stuck with a back just because you really believe in this and this guy hasn't sold it yet, and so on and so on. That's not the best way to do it. Actually, that's probably the worst way to do it, because you don't know, first of all, what's the size of the position for the person. He might be investing, let's say, just 1% of his portfolio or even less, and he might be already a millionaire. He might have like 10 different sources of income, which if you're paying for a community, you're probably one of them. And he doesn't care about this very, very small position, and if it goes to zero, and probably at the end of the year, he might tax loss harvest it and decrease his tax bill. So just keep this in mind. Everyone has a separate situation, and no matter how much work you have done on a project or how much you believe in it, don't get married to it. Try to stick to your plan again, as I said already, and don't blind yourself with a thesis that might not ever play out. Be objective, look for other people also to be like a balancer for you. And also, I think journaling really helps to make sure that you avoid such kind of mistakes in the future. This one is a little bit more personal for me, but I believe that a lot of people will be able to relate to this, and that is blaming myself for doing something not in a great way, or for not taking a certain trade, or basically mismanaging the whole situation, even if there wasn't anything to manage or no action on my side was required. And this is a great example. This is Matic, by the way. And I was watching this and I wanted to have some Matic for quite a while. However, I was very patient and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna buy it here. We don't know what's gonna happen. I'm just gonna be quiet, sit down and just wait. However, I saw price climbing up, and we had a nice pop. And here I really had FOMO, and the FOMO, I didn't give in to the FOMO, so I didn't buy here the local top. However, I was really like, damn, I missed the boat on Matic, and I should have bought here on this retest somewhere around 70 cents. And I was really blaming myself for not doing the right thing. And then once we got a washout here and it was retesting this level here around $1, I entered a small position, but I was blaming myself that we had another washout to the downside and I didn't buy this trade right here because they were like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 cents. I had some orders stacked around here, around 73 cents. And none of the orders got hit, so I couldn't make a lot of money on this push to the upside. So overall, I could have executed all of this a lot better. However, I didn't, and I was definitely feeling a lot of blame. Now, I recently started increasing again my position here, so I got to this entry point anyway. And since this is a long-term back for me, I'm not that worried, even if it goes lower. However, in that specific moment, I was feeling really bad and I was really blaming myself, where, to be honest, this doesn't give you absolutely anything. And if you spend a lot of time blaming yourself for not taking this trade, or if you see somebody getting a good trade and making a lot of money and you're not there to take it, and you might feel like, oh man, I'm really bad, how could I have missed this opportunity? There's always another trade, first of all. Second of all, there are a lot of things that might happen to you, and there are always reasons for which you can blame yourself. However, it's really not productive. The most productive way that you can benefit from any kind of situation like this is, first of all, take a deep breath, journal a little bit about your emotions, and then try to find the lesson in this story. And if you take this approach, and if you approach every single situation as a lesson, in the long term, these things will accumulate. And also on the way to this, don't forget to tap yourself on the shoulder, because I'm personally a perfectionist and very rarely I'm happy with everything that I do. And I keep reminding myself, okay, this is a good trade. You made profit here or there. Why are you blaming yourself for not picking the top? Nobody does this. Like, who actually picks the top 100% of the time? And if I do, this will be lucky. So I kind of have a little pep talk with myself for different situations. And that, to be honest, really helps in my situation. Obviously, you have to find your own solution, but I definitely think if you do these steps, you will feel much better, and actually you blame yourself a lot less, because overall blame and negativity affects also your performance on the market. So keep this in mind. This mistake is a big one, especially with everything that happened this year with Celsius, with FTX, the collapse of Luna, and so on. So there has been a wave of people looking for a quick gain, or actually for passive income through yield in crypto. And one of the most popular and actually well-trusted platform was Celsius, where they're claiming that they're the home for crypto. And to be honest, this worked out quite well. 1.7 million people still have their funds still stuck with Celsius, and they will be calling it home for the foreseeable future, myself included. Actually, I do have some small amounts here on Celsius yet. To be honest, I have completely disregarded that I will be able at any point to take these money back. But the good thing that I did was that I managed my risk, and I significantly decreased my exposure to platforms like BlockFi and Celsius before the whole fiasco. However, I just left a little bit there because, to be honest, I was greedy, which is a huge mistake on my part. Although the yield argument sounds really good, and instead of having your crypto in cold storage, you put it on a platform and they give you like 4% or 8% when it comes to stables. It really sounds good, and I understand why so many people fall victim into it. However, you need to do a simple calculation. Let me just do this real quick. So a really simple calculation. Crypto is the most volatile of asset classes ever. And your potential to make 100x gains is huge. Yes, it might happen in a few years, not right away. However, the opportunity is real. And if you do some work and if you get into the space, you'll probably be able to have quick gains. And even if you don't have these quick gains, like 1 or 2 tokens that go 100x, overall the space is still moving forward, and we are still in this adoption phase. And I do believe there's still a lot of gains in front of us. And chasing 5 or 6% per year yield is kind of stupid, to be honest. I'm saying this even after I have done this, and I'm still staking some coins, which is a little bit different, but still it's really insignificant. And especially with such kind of third-party platforms where you give them, some of the people gave them all of their tokens or significant amounts of money to look for 4 or 5% yield, and the risk for me is just not worth it. And the way to proceed forward, because I'm pretty sure everyone will forget about this at some point, and people will still look for easy gains and for quick flips and for passive income in crypto. But remember, what is the risk there? If you're staking, let's say, Matic on your own wallet, and you can at any point take it out, unstake it, sell it, whatever, the only risk that you're holding is if Matic collapses, which is actually not a really small risk because we know what happened with Terra Luna, and also if the price really goes down. However, if this is in your own wallet, you'll still be your own custodian, and if you give your money or crypto to some other platform, the risks there are just exponentially increasing with every day that they promise you crazy yields. So instead of chasing 4 or 5%, make sure you spend enough time learning and educating yourself, and easily, I think in the long term, you'll be making a lot more than the 4 or 5% that these platforms were offering. This mistake was also one that I didn't commit just yet. We'll see how this goes in the future, but playing with high amounts of leverage in platforms like this one, like BitGet or Bybit or Binance or KuCoin, there are a lot of platforms out there that offer nowadays really good futures and high leverage services. I'm pretty sure you have already researched this. A lot of people are looking into leverage because they think this will provide them with easy access and quick gains again into the crypto ecosystem. This couldn't be further away from the truth. And if you still want to go down the rabbit hole of leverage, I have pretty much a full course of how to trade with leverage on the channel. I'm going to link it below. However, I really think that for the 90% of the people out there, leverage is not for them, especially the amounts of leverage that these platforms offer. Really, like, who in his right mind will need 125x leverage? If you're scalping and if you're really good at and you have different algorithms and you're chasing every single pip in crypto, sure, yeah, you might use it. However, it really doesn't make sense for the normal investor and actually for nobody, because the stress levels here, trading at these type of leverage levels, it's insane. I have tried it. I am still learning a lot about leverage. I do use it because I believe it has a lot of good applications, which I'm describing in the video that I mentioned. But overall, simple way to avoid this mistake is just avoid leverage altogether. At some point in some years after you are very familiar with crypto, you have your gains in the spot market, you're feeling very confident understanding the entire interface of the crypto industry, then sure, yeah, go and try leverage. But really investing into smaller altcoins is like trading with leverage pretty much, on steroids even, just because they're so volatile. And if you have done a good job at research and at trade management in specific situations, you can still make a lot of money even without risking additional with leverage. So definitely, if you're new to the space, try to avoid leverage as a get rich quick scheme, because definitely it's not that, and you'll probably lose all of your money. And the final very stupid mistake, and to this day I still feel bad about not doing this earlier, is not investing in yourself and in your education soon enough. I want to show you a very specific example from my personal experience. I got involved in crypto somewhere around, I think it was somewhere around here. So my first Bitcoin purchases were around, I think, $10,000, something like this. So there was still enough to go in this market, but also I started adding to my positions, obviously, somewhere around here. So the very first mistake is, in this span of several months, I didn't do absolutely anything about learning about crypto. I was just meeting up with friends. I was like, yeah, I have some Bitcoin and I have invested and it's going to the moon, you know, just the typical stupid moon boy, brand new newbie to the market. I'm just so mad at myself. And if I started investing into my personal education right around here with the money I had in my pocket and in my bank account at that time, I could have made millions all through here. And I remember I did buy some Bitcoin and some Ethereum here in the lows. I can tap myself on the shoulder. Yeah, that was great DCing. However, I also remember the coronavirus capitulation here, which was probably the last time in history where people could have bought Bitcoin at around $4,000. And I missed this boat also because I was still not that interested into crypto, and I was still that stupid to not start learning. Even after buying a lot of Bitcoin and Ethereum in this area, I didn't invest in my education. And this was probably by far actually the biggest mistake I have done in crypto, and I would rank it out there as one of the biggest mistakes that I have ever done in my life, because I knew the resources, I knew what I have to do, yet I wasn't doing it. And yeah, I got into it somewhere around here, and I still bought this breakout around $10,000 to $12,000, and I did right most of this last cycle. However, really going heavy into studying instead of right here, somewhere around here, or somewhere around here, you know, I'll cut myself some slack, you know, somewhere around here. If I started learning about this space, I could have achieved complete financial independence forever, like forever. This is how much money I left on the table through this period with one very stupid mistake. The good part is that you're still watching this video, so thank you for that. Don't forget to subscribe and to like. But the really good part is that we're still in a cycle right here where we're around 75% from the highs, and now is the best time really to get into crypto, to start learning, and to pretty much avoid all of these mistakes, or at least limit your effects when you're making those mistakes. Just invest, guys, really invest in your education. This is, if you take just one thing from this video, this is the most important thing ever that I'm going to say. Invest in your education, really get into crypto, start learning about the entire ecosystem, and you'll see that your life will be changed in the foreseeable future, like in the next 3 or 4 years. And it will happen much faster probably than 90% of the opportunities out there that you're checking and you're watching every day for passive income, for business making, for whatever. This is really it. And I still believe we have a lot of potential in front of us for growth. So don't forget this, and be safe, guys. Be safe and make sure you don't lose all of your money before you learn everything that you have to learn. I'll see you in the next one.